Thank you everybody for coming again. I'm Agnes Wilkie, Creative Director at Northern Film Media. More importantly, I am joined today by, I think, certainly one of the nicest and now one of the most important women at the BBC.
That's such a big billing, that is.
Helen Bullough. She used to be in charge of Vision North. Was a really good friend of us in the North East and has helped get a lot of things and a lot of relationships going here. She's now in charge of everything at CBBC, and we're going to hear a lot from her. I'm also delighted that Alan Fairholm, who I've been told by many, many people is the saviour of the North East, he's the producer of Tracy Beaker, and has been fantastic at making sure that North East talent, technical talent, gets to work on BBC shows.
My life is a banner strand for half-hour documentaries about remarkable children, giving other children an insight into lives which are different from theirs, but which they probably don't realise they want to know about until they've watched the programme, basically. We typically produce 6 or 7 of them a year, and that would be a financial year, so Kez would be looking for 6 or 7 new ideas from April 2012 onwards. So when Kez is looking at the kind of proposals that she's sent, what she always wants as a sort of first stab at the discussion is a small taster tape featuring the child who's at the centre of the story. If you do decide to pitch on paper, very quickly the word will come back that they need to see something on tape, even if it's just, you know, a child talking to camera. They need to see that the central contributor will be able to carry the film, basically. The drama side works slightly differently from factual entertainment because the timelines are so different and the financing's different. We do tend to say at certain times of the year, we would love to hear your ideas, and we've just said we would love to hear your ideas. We probably have got enough for now, dramas that feature the supernatural in some way, but there is a sense that in 18 months or 2 years there might be room for us to start pushing forward a little bit on the action adventure side. So if anyone's got any ideas in that field, I think from the beginning of January onwards we are genuinely saying please come to us, you know, if you've got those kind of new drama ideas. Obviously we've got our own stable of talent. We've got people that we know have got a following in Peak, which is why Alicia was such a perfect fit for Alicia's Street Dance. Expert in that area, credible, you know, empathetic. But also a big part of our brief is to discover the next generation of talent, whether that's production talent or writing talent or on-screen talent. You know, we wouldn't be doing our jobs properly at CBBC if we weren't finding that next generation, and that's one of the exciting things about the department, I think, being based in the north now, that, you know, we need to build those relationships with, you know, up-and-coming talent. In terms of, you know, studio entertainment, I mean that's probably that's the hardest one, I think, to crack, in the same way that it's the highest risk slot that you get in Peak as well. And there I think the talent is key, you know, and whether it's magic or dancing or some kind of tournament, I think it's absolutely what the talent would be that would carry the audience into that, you know, and bearing in mind that in terms of studio entertainment the budgets are lower than they are in Peak, so you have to work extra hard there, you know, to make the money work around the schedules. Humour is so important to this audience. You know, they'll switch off at the press of an Xbox button if you don't keep them engaged, and the, you know, the humour that you get in everything from Tracy Beaker to Horrible Histories, that's the real lesson.
I think it's one of the things we talked about before is that unless I guess you've got kids in that age group, you might not be a natural audience, so it's like really important if you're going to think about this that you watch it.
I think the main thing is that, you know, don't forget how intelligent the audience are. I think a lot of people kind of, you know, have this image of what, you know, what children's telly should be, and I think that it, you know, something like, you know, again, Beaker, you know, the fantastic thing about Beaker is it deals with a lot of the issues that the kids have, you know, as growing up, but it deals with it in an entertaining and an informative way.
It's very, very true. of the way that you see the CBBC audience moving back and forward from the website to the kind of the linear iteration of their favourite brand. They don't really need much prompting. It's just that we have to be quite careful within that space, because obviously internet safety with this generation is absolutely key as well.
I think the trick is, and I know of a few people who try to develop something that works, and it's sort of, trying not to get the cart before the horse, and really if there's a real kind of reason for the interactivity, then it's going to work. I think if you have to ask yourself why you've got it, then you're probably going down the wrong track.
The costs are very, very high because of the timelines, because of the technology, because of the talent. Well worth, it's a prize well worth chasing, but we'll never commission it in volume. There'll always be, one or two kind of new shows on the go at any one time. There is just a language and a format to writing for television, in terms of, the level of direction that needs to be included in a script, the level of background information, the layout, the way that, if you have to be able to sell your idea on one side of A4, and to some writers, and I know how hard it is, but to some writers that's anathema. But you have to be able to do it, because if you can't do that, you can't pitch the idea. If you can't pitch the idea, you'll never be able to write the billing for it. It's absolutely that, but there is an awful lot of help and support available from the writer's room to get a new idea pitch ready, I would say. And that's as much about pitching yourself as an individual as opposed to, as well as your idea. And the writer's room does a lot of masterclasses with people who have started, as new and gone, to the heady heights of success. So there's a lot of advice and support available from very, very expert people. And if you go onto the bbc.co.uk/writers room site, a lot of the seminars and sessions are actually kind of there, to be accessed. The way that we obviously work with independent producers, there are opportunities to co-produce with us if that's something that works editorially and financially, and it may very well be that that's because we have underlying expertise, or that you might have access that we haven't got, on our development slate, but that, people might feel that a partnership is better than an individual kind of way to go. So there is always the opportunity to discuss that. If you're looking for actual kind of roles within the department, on factual or entertainment shows, then we have a talent management team, and the head of talent management for CBBC is called Sue Fletcher. Sue will always know and be across any of the opportunities that are coming up on the factual and entertainment slates over the next kind of 3 to 6 months, if those are the kind of opportunities that people are interested in.
Once the next show that's in the train gets commissioned and we start to talk about it, then the rumour mill starts, and a lot of the time it comes via Northern Film Media. The word gets put out, and people start to contact me with CVs. So I guess the thing for people who are looking to work on production is kind of keep your ear to the ground. Once the rumour mill starts, then feel free to contact NFM, have my contact details. Try and get as much information, try and get a name, and send the email. A lot of the time you get emails from people who say, essentially just say, I just want to work in television. And to be honest, they're the first people you put at the back. If you've got someone who has an idea, it's not always necessarily going to be the right idea, but has an instinct as to the areas that they want to work, then obviously we can point them in that direction.
I think that's a really good point, and I think in addition, if it's not a specific project, I think just an awareness of what this, there are lots and lots of things about making programmes for 6 to 12-year-olds that are very similar to making programmes for other age groups. And there are some things that are very, very different. And I think any kind of demonstration of the awareness of, things like tone, but also, quite practical considerations like, working with children means that you have to schedule in a different way because they can only work so many hours a day. The production schedules are quite dissimilar in lots of ways. You know, we don't ever talk about social networking on our channels. We don't refer to Facebook and Twitter because, you know, 6 to 12-year-olds in theory aren't using them. You know, so I think there's an awareness of the specialisms and the kind of just the care and concern that you have to take when you're dealing with very young contributors, and any sense of the awareness of that, the awareness that although the skills base is very similar, there's a different kind of nuancing to some of the content and some of the approaches is really, really valuable as well.